Hello gamers and welcome to today's YouTube video. Wargaming has released another guide and we will do another react. I think that is customary at this point. Today it's about camo and this is a subject that I have actually never really invested too much time into. So I might be actually curious to see what they have to say.
Today we'll talk about concealment. Wrap your camo nets tight around you. Let's begin.
Okay, I'm ready to learn something today, guys. Epic intro, amazing.
This video overlaps with the previous episode about the view range system. We won't go over all the mechanics again, since we did that in the previous video.
I don't remember anything.
Find it in the info card and description. Today, we'll talk more about how to improve and use your concealment.
Okay.
But first, let's go through the main terms.
Yeah, okay, I'm ready.
If your tank has been spotted, you'll see a warning light bulb. 3 seconds later. Mind that that's more than enough time for your turret to be hit. When the enemy stops spotting you, you'll be visible for 10 more seconds.
Yeah, so far they're right.
Remember that. But how do you remain unspotted? Every vehicle has its own concealment value.
Okay.
It affects what penalty the enemy will receive to their view range value. So whether you're spotted or not depends not only on your concealment, but also on the enemy's view range. Concealment depends on the vehicle size and type.
This is actually interesting.
Light tanks have the best concealment.
And don't lose concealment on the move.
Average.
Depends on the medium though, to be honest.
And heavy tanks, well, hide and seek is not for them.
It really depends on the medium tank. There is some medium tanks with some crazy camo values and very high base camo values as well. Ooh, that's 1516 comes to mind for to the U, even 907. These tanks can get a lot of camo, to be honest.
Tank destroyers usually have good concealment, but only when stationary. Concealment heavily depends on what your tank is doing. If it's stationary, the value is at its highest. If it's moving, then it's significantly lower. Concealment when stationary and on the move is only the same for light tanks. Finally, when you shoot...
Isn't E25 also the same on the move? I don't even remember, but maybe it is.
Your concealment drops to its lowest. When you're hiding, shooting is the best way to reveal yourself. Bushes provide a great concealment bonus and allow you to hide almost right under the enemy's nose. To do that, you need to cover all your vehicle's visibility checkpoints.
Yeah, this is very true.
The crowns of trees work in the same way, but only the crowns. You can't hide a tank behind a tree trunk, so it's best to fell it in advance.
That is actually not completely true, though. That is actually not completely true. You have these trees that extend towards the bottom, but look like they don't have cover on the bottom, but they still give camo.
This rule doesn't
like these pine trees.
Since they have low crowns. You can leave them standing.
Okay, never mind.
Trees and bushes are divided into two types, with and without foliage. The concealment bonus from leafless vegetation is only half the one leafy vegetation provides, but it's a bonus nonetheless, so remember this difference. If there's more than one bush between you and your opponent, their bonuses add up. Double bushes work better than single ones.
So far, this is actually, like I gotta say, so far this is an informative video without mistakes, which is the worst part, because then we have nothing to complain about.
The only time vegetation doesn't cut your view range is if you're close enough to it that it's transparent in your reticle. That said, the concealment parameter is decreased for vegetation within 15 meters around you when you fire.
I will add to this transparent thing, time and time again. I will add to this because I don't know if they will cover it. There's trees in World of Tanks, like those long pine trees that I talked about, like the ones on Malanovka. Those trees by itself are so long that the tree will become transparent, however, you're not spotting through it. Why? It's because you haven't reached the required distance to actually spot through it because it is so long. And the game cannot differentiate for some reason. So you may see through it, but that doesn't mean you spot through it. So you always have to make sure that you're deep enough in the tree to maintain spotting. But it also means that the tree can be transparent. However, you can shoot and not be spotted.
Putting it simply, you can spot enemies when you're close to bushes, but will be spotted yourself after shooting. If you roll back, you won't be able to spot, but can shoot while remaining unseen. This is how you can use it. Roll to a bush so that it becomes transparent. Spot the enemy and roll back a little, then fire. To fell a tree, you don't always need to drive up to it.
Oh my
It's
god.
very dangerous sometimes. You can load an HE shell and shoot at the base of the tree.
Good
This
info.
is a situational trick that isn't used often, but sometimes it can come in handy.
Remember that where you shoot a tree with HE also means on where it will fall. You shoot it on the left, it will fall to the right. You shoot it on the right, it will fall to the left. You shoot in front of it, it will fall backwards. You shoot behind it, it will fall to the front. In case you want to know like where to knock it to.
Don't forget about the proximity spotting distance we talked about in the last episode. At 50 meters, the enemy is guaranteed to spot you. No bushes, obstacles, or terrain can save you. The good news is that you'll spot them too. Remember that the light bulb is displayed only 3 seconds later. If there's not enough room on your position to roll back 15 meters from the bush and fire, you need to get to cover after each shot, immediately, not after you see the light bulb. Keep in mind the time you remain spotted. If your gun takes less than 10 seconds to reload, think twice what's more important for you. Quickly causing more damage or
Good
waiting
info.
a few more seconds to disappear and stay alive. You
Good
can
info.
count these 10 seconds based on your reloading time. If you have an autoloader, think how much
You can also install a mod that gives you a 10-second light bulb, which is a very useful one.
damage you might receive while unloading your magazine. If the HP trade is definitely in your favor, then go for it and head for cover later.
I mean, could
The rest
have already initially been in a better position that you're not sitting fully out of the open on that rock, and then you can clip either way because they're not likely to hit you. But you know, sitting in the open and gambling that the heavies crossing will not shoot at you is also a possibility.
don't affect spotting. You can hide from enemy shells behind a heroically fallen ally, but not from their eyes. Finally, how do you hide without bushes? You need to keep an eye on the maximum view range distance on the minimap. If you stay outside all your opponent's view range, you won't be spotted.
Crazy.
Inside it, your chances of staying invisible are higher if you don't shoot and stand still. But in most cases, without a bush, you'll be spotted as soon as you roll into the enemy view range circle. This depends on your concealment value.
Yeah.
Concealment can be increased in several ways. First of all, don't leave your tank in its factory paint. In the Preset Styles tab, every 2D or 3D style gives a bonus to concealment. The difference is only visual, so select the one you like most. The Custom Style tab allows you to paint the vehicle however you like, but you'll only get that bonus if you apply camouflage to its hull. And we mean camouflage, not one-color paint. Perks. The concealment perk significantly boosts the parameter of the same name, and also depends on how many crew members have trained it. For the maximum bonus, you need to train it to 100% for all tankers.
Or if you want to cheat the system a little bit, you train it on one person and then use a camo directive, because that gives you a lot of camo as well. Not the full value, but a lot, which allows you to train other skills on other crew members. If you don't believe me, feel free to check it out yourself in your garage. Put camo on one crew member, use a camo directive, which of course costs credits, but it is useful, for example, on mediums or lights if you have a very low skilled crew, and you will still get a very large benefit out of camouflage in general. Just a little bit of a trick that I don't think they'll mention in the video either. A little bit like a semi way to cheat the system.
Brothers in Arms improves all parameters. It boosts concealment even more, but only if the concealment perk is trained. Food consumables and improved ventilation have the same effect. Improved radio set will reduce the time you remain spotted and increase the time an enemy remains spotted.
Not really useful
It might
though.
be useful sometimes, but it's not very popular. Camouflage net significantly increases the concealment value, but only
Noise
for
exhaust is
stationary
almost
vehicles.
always
It's
better.
a very situational piece of equipment that's most useful for some vehicles with siege mode.
Even on the
They can turn their hull
SRV,
without
the
disabling
low noise
the net
equipment is
effect.
almost better. Because the moment you
Sometimes it can
move,
also
Camonette
be
is
useful for
disengaged.
passive scouting,
No,
but in most
never.
cases,
No,
low
no,
noise
no,
exhaust
no,
is
no,
better
no.
and more versatile.
Man,
It
I
provides
don't even think they should ever recommend that shit. Like, never use Camonette on your scouts, dude. It's not worth it because it's only active when you're standing still. That is bad advice to give, in my opinion. Completely off the mark. Loner's exhaust is better. Always better. Never ever take Camonite on your lights, especially not on something like a Manticore. That is bad advice. That's really bad advice. So far the video was pretty good, but I would never include that.
Smaller bonus to concealment, but it works all the time, even when you're on the move or shooting. Keep in mind that all this may only be useful for light tanks, sniper tank destroyers, and some medium tanks. There are many more useful pieces of equipment and perks for heavy tanks, armored medium tanks, and assault tank destroyers. Now you know how exactly to hide from the enemy's sights, but you also need to understand where and how to do it. If you hide in
Never ever go to E1 in the beginning in most cases. There's too many positions that outspot it, and if there's a smart player on the enemy team, this is a line of fences, they will see to destroy it and blind fire you out. Going E1 straight is so risky. It can work, but most of the time it doesn't work.
bushes, it's best to do so in key positions. If possible, close to the enemy with lines of fire on their key positions.
Why? You're shooting from E1? Nah. Nah. That's crazy. Never shoot from E1, guys. What? Never shoot from E1. They're really losing it in the last 2 minutes right now.
You'll only need bushes near the base for passive defense to retreat when it's obvious your team is losing a flank. Standing there from the start of battle only makes sense in specific sniper vehicles, which are less useful in close combat. But even in these vehicles, there will be moments when you need to leave the bush and go help your allies nearby.
Crazy, moving
For
with
example,
a TD.
Take the bushes in sectors K0 through D0 on Malinovka, where you'll only be really useful if your allies lose the battle for the windmill.
Not necessarily too bad. However, if we go back for a second, I would almost always retreat into H8 rather than K0. Why H8? Because it spots the peak up, it spots next to the rock, and it spots them driving down as well, just the same way. Gives you a lot more info, spots middle as well. Outside of, I don't think this is such a great position personally, but whatever.
Or you can use the bushes near the windmill itself to win back key positions and the battle.
You can do this in a light, but if you're the only light to Malinovka and you go to A0, you're getting blacklisted. On God, I'm blacklisting your ass.
On Paris, you can occupy a balcony and stay there until the end of the battle, trying to exploit enemy mistakes. Or you can fell trees in the town and
A good position.
shoot at
Crazy.
heavy tanks while remaining invisible. In the second case, your influence on the outcome of the battle will be higher. It's very important to be able to use concealment in World of Tanks, but that's not all there is to the game. That's it for today. Show this video to your friends who put camo on the mouse's turret and hide it in the bushes in the corner of the map. See you soon.
And they like calling us out or what? Like, Jesus. All my friends have camo everywhere, dude. Overall, actually, a pretty decent video gamers with decent explanations. What they didn't really explain is like how camo and view range affect each other. You know, like if you have 50% camo, you have to assume that somebody with 445 meters of view range, if they're maxed out, spots you at what, 222 meters, 0.5 or something. They didn't really explain that. Like, I think that's also an important like kind of thing to understand, especially when it comes to concealment. So maybe they should have included a little bit more of that personally. But all in all, good video though. Good video. Minus the shooting from E1 part. That was crazy. Anyways, gamers, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of React content. Cooking shows are coming later. Don't worry. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the very next one. Peace. Good job.